What happens when a 37-year-old otaku goes from a normal human being to leader of a nation full of monsters, humans, and demons that worship him as a god? I'm talking about a being capable of stopping time, one-shotting entire armies, and eating world-destroying threats in a single bite. Not to mention that along the way, he solves some of humanity's other most fundamental questions, like how do you build a functioning multicultural town and society? Is eating your friends a healthy way to maintain a friendship? Or how do you gain immortality? Because this is the truly fascinating life story of Rimuru Tempest. Now, normally our starting point for a life timeline would of course be a little bit more traditional. We'd start at birth, maybe at childhood, or with certain characters in high school, but not this time around. We're starting with 37-year-old Satoru Mikima, a general contractor in our real world. He's pretty tall, decent enough looking, and overall a pretty nice and chill dude. He usually tries to keep things short and sweet and is about to meet his junior employee for lunch when, by a really crazy stroke of bad luck, his life goes crazy. You see, after finally meeting Tamura, his co-worker's fiance, a random robber attempts to attack Tamura. And being the stand-up guy that he is, Satoru leaps into action and unfortunately gets stabbed by this really random man. But as he lays there slowly bleeding to death, something really strange begins to happen to him. Satoru does of course what most people seem to do, which is going over their own past life in their dying moments. And when he finally realizes that he'd basically given up on love, he's lived a simple life, and that he is at the end of his ropes, he just seems to kind of accept it. But then a voice in his head starts to make odd comments about his own thoughts. Like when he talks about his own desires, his pain, and what he can feel and see, a great power known as the world language seems to start granting him powers in return, or at least listing off abilities like a video game based on his own wishes in his dying moments. And suddenly, as he finally passes on, he wakes up in a new body. It's weird, it's fluid, and it doesn't seem to have any senses. After thinking long and hard, Satoru realizes that he's been reincarnated as a slime in a whole new world. Cue the Disney song. Oh, we can't do that because of legal, right? Okay. Getting used to his new body took a little bit of time. After all, going from having legs and arms to being a tiny round blob of blue jelly thing isn't exactly a normal day in the neighborhood, if you get me. He couldn't see, didn't need to eat, and doesn't sleep, so for a good just 90 days or so, yeah, 3 whole months, Satoru just ate a bunch of stuff like grass and flowers in this cave. However, after understandably getting bored after that long time, that voice from before comes back, and suddenly he gained his first unique skill, Great Sage. This is basically an encyclopedia inside his own brain that serves to both teach him about this new world, but also be a sort of conversational partner. And since I just mentioned it, a unique skill is just a power or ability that a creature or person can use in this world. It's an isekai anime, so of course it's very video game themed. Pretty much any power, attack, or ability is a skill in this world that can be learned, except if it's unique, and then that's unique to that person. And turns out our slime pal here wasn't just eating grass and flowers, it was actually a very special plant called a 𝗥𝗜𝗠𝗨𝗥𝗑 herb, and it is used for crazy good healing potions, so already right off the bat, a really lucky guy. However, this luck doesn't end there. After wandering the cave, Satoru comes across the most terrifying and powerful creature any fantasy has to offer, a legendary dragon. And this one, well, he's about as ferocious as they come. The dragon's name is Veldra, and he's the living hurricane, the typhoon with wings. That's right, he is the storm dragon. Turns out he was actually sealed in this very cave over 300 years ago by an ancient hero and has just been stuck in his magic prison all by himself. So, of course, Satoru decides to chat with him. After all, all, they are the only two smart creatures around, and thanks to Big Bad Veldra here, Satoru actually learns how to use magic sense in order to see, even without eyes. So basically, what he does here right now is use magicules, these tiny magic particles in the air, to see things around him, which really was a real homie move by Veldra, thanks to him. And so basically, after broing out a little bit, the two decide to become best buddies and even give each other names. This is actually a common sign of respect in this very world of unnamed monsters, and since Satoru is now no longer Satoru, Veldra gives him a new name, Rimuru. And in exchange, Rimuru gives the both the last name Tempest, and then, like any good best friend, Rimuru eats Veldra. Okay. But don't worry, I'll explain. Basically, as a special slime, Rimuru has a very powerful ability to absorb and analyze things in his tummy with his unique skill Predator and Great Sage. That's the voice from before. Now, Predator is basically just a lot like Kirby and his copy ability. So not only does Rimuru get to absorb creatures, objects, and their powers, but he can also keep things inside his stomach dimension for research. And so, in an effort to actually free Veldra from his own prison, he eats him. That way, his Great Sage can then in the background learn how to break the infinite prison that he's been actually locked in. And from here on out, with a new name, immense power from being named, and absorbing the Storm Dragon Veldra, Rimuru now sets off to leave the cave. On the way, he also gets a bunch of rad new skills like the offensive water blade, the ability to talk and use echolocation, and these nice sticky webs that lets him play Spider-Man. And so after a week of travel inside the cave and picking up a lot of new skills and abilities, Rimuru then finally sees daylight. And he immediately runs into a pack of goblins, and man, let me tell you, dude, these guys love him. Now, that's also because he now has the crazy aura that's emitting the power of the legendary Storm Dragon anywhere he goes, but as I mentioned earlier, Rimuru is just a stand-up, regular, nice guy. And so he treats the goblins kindly and even helps them protect their village from a pack of evil direwolves. You see, it turns out that this very special cave was in a gigantic magical forest called the Great Forest of Jura. The goblins, direwolves, and a bunch of other fantasy creatures live here and are constantly fighting for control over their own territories. But after defeating the direwolves and combining their pack with the goblins, Rimuru then secured his own role as the Great Protector in the Forest of Jura. Now, that's all because of Veldra, because his magic power, even from being locked inside that cave, was just so large and powerful, it would prevent anyone else from messing with that forest. However, now that Rimuru has taken him out, he's got to step up and pick up the slack in Veldra's stead. However, since all of the goblins and direwolves are still unnamed, Rimuru makes the very bold choice to name all of them. You know, nothing crazy, just a bunch of average goblin names and naming the pack leader. And as a result, Rimuru officially gets his new pals Rigurd, Rigur, Gopta, and his very loyal wolf companion, Ranga. And because naming someone is actually an insane feat in this world, he then immediately passes out without any warning for 3 entire days. You see, apparently naming creatures wipes out his magical reserves and knocks him into a sort of coma for a few days to recover all of his powers. In other words, he has to be way more careful about naming stuff, but when he wakes up, nothing is as it seems. Because suddenly all the dudes that he's named are now big, jacked, and really cool? That's right, much like how Veldra naming Rimuru boosted his own power, naming these goblins and direwolves evolved them into great direwolves and hobgoblins. So new friends and greater power? Like, what a bargain that is. So now that Rimuru has a new town forming and allies, he sets off to find a skilled craftsman for the town to create stuff. After all these goblins do really mean well, but they are kind of lacking in terms of city planning, zoning, and also trade. And so Gopta leads Rimuru and his small group on a 3-day journey to the great city of Dwargon, the home of the dwarves and the hero king Gazel Dwargo. But unfortunately, things don't go quite as easy at the gates as they hoped. A group of humans start picking a fight with Rimuru and Gopta for being low-key monsters, and so Rimuru unleashes his full power for just a brief moment. Now, this causes a huge panic and basically teaches him that he has to be really careful with how he uses his truly broken abilities. In the end, this all causes him to get arrested, but thanks to those herbs from the cave, Rimuru is able to weasel out of jail by making a trade with the security guard. You see, it turns out that his brothers were apparently badly hurt, and Rimuru's body lets him use his stored items to create new ones, and basically he ends up making such powerful healing potions that they turn into a get out of jail free card. He then uses this exact same power to help a phenomenal dwarf blacksmith, where Rimuru creates a bunch of very powerful magical swords out of the rocks he collected in the cave. Because as it turns out, those also were actually incredibly powerful and valuable magical ores. Now, because of this great success, the crew of dwarves and Rimuru go out to celebrate and party hard with some hot elf babes for some reason. However, the fun is cut short when a minister from the city accuses Rimuru of being a rotten creature. This does not sit well with Kaijin, the blacksmith from earlier, and so he knocks the minister out. Now, these two already had some mad beef, so don't worry, it wasn't completely unwarranted as it sounds here, but in the end, it is those exact actions that get Rimuru, Kaijin, and his brothers kicked out of Dwargon by 𝗥𝗜𝗠𝗨𝗥𝗨, and in the process secures some truly great craftsmen for Rimuru's village. And thanks to just these three very skilled dwarves, the town begins to look actually really good. They're now getting new gear, great clothing, and a whole town is basically starting to get mapped out. Everything's coming up good for old Rimuru those last few months, and it really only gets better when a group of adventurers roll through town as well. Because when he makes a silly joke from a manga he once read, one specific masked adventurer seems to actually understand him. And this actually leads Rimuru to realize that she, very much like him, is also a human from another world. And not just that, the way that she sits and acts proves to him that she's in fact also Japanese. Her name is Shizu, and she teaches Rimuru a whole lot about her own life, the world, and how they are both otherworlders. This is basically a title giving to powerful figures that are either summoned or reincarnated in this world from a different place, and in their case, that's Japan. Shizu has a dark secret though, and that's because she's actually the host of a great elemental spirit, 𝗧𝗡. Now, this powerful fire creature has been trying to break out and does so at the worst time, destroying the village and leading to Rimuru's very first serious fight. However, it turns out that even a powerful spirit as 𝗧𝗡 is no real match for the great slime Rimuru Tempest, and after some clever planning and using his insane immunity to fire, which is helpful in that fight, 𝗧𝗡 is absorbed by Rimuru as well. Now, this does free Shizu from her own curse, but also puts her on death's door. And in her dying moments, she explains to Rimuru her own goals. She wants to defeat the demon lord who brought her to this world in the first place, Leon Cromwell. And since she's become good friends with Rimuru, you know what time it is. It's yet another case of Rimuru eating his new best friend. This time though, it's even more weird because she's also a human and from Japan, but regardless, Rimuru acknowledges her dreams and promises to complete them for her, and then eats Shizu. As a result, he gains her unique skills, but also finally the ability to transform into a human body. And thus the very cute Rimuru Tempest human form is created in that moment. Now, eventually, after a few more months of learning how his new body works, Rimuru fights a group of ogres who showed up at his village trying to kill him. And in classic Rimuru fashion at this point, he basically schools them with his crazy powers, befriends them, and gives them some names. Their new names are Benimaru, Shion, Shuna, Soe, Hakuro, and Kurobe. And they agree to form an alliance to avenge the fallen ogre village, and Rimuru passes out again for a week or so. Now, when he wakes up, these ogres evolved into Kijin, human-ogre hybrids with truly insane magic and physical powers. And as a result, Rimuru's elite guard is officially formed as well. Together, they then set out to defeat meet the orcs, the race that destroyed the ogre village, and come across some lizard folk in the process as well. Now, Rimuru attempts to play politician and properly lead his group, forming an alliance with the lizard folk, who are the orcs' next targets. Or at least Rimuru tries to, until the chief's son staged a rebellion, ruined the lizard folk's chances at survival, and forced Rimuru and the Kijin to save the entire great forest of Jura. That lizard man, his name is 𝗥𝗜𝗠𝗨𝗥𝗑, and as you've probably realized, he has a name. Now, this was actually granted to him by a person called 𝗥𝗓𝗠, a wandering sorcerer. This dude is really bad news and apparently has been creating evolved creatures so that he could feed them to the villainous orc lord. That's because he has the ability to eat and gain a creature's power, and it was 𝗥𝗓𝗠's hope to create an orc so strong it would evolve into a demon lord level creature, the orc disaster. Now, all of this basically comes to a head when Rimuru enters the battlefield alongside his elite guard, because these dudes easily clear the rest of the orc army, and in a desperate move, 𝗥𝗓𝗠 tries to feed 𝗥𝗜𝗠 to Geld, the orc lord. Unfortunately, Big Pig over here decided to eat 𝗥𝗓𝗠 instead and transformed into the calamity, the orc disaster. As a result, Rimuru now decides it's time to really kick into high gear and steps up to take down this orc disaster. It's truly a legendary battle of unique skills. Rimuru's Predator versus Geld's Corrosion. A battle that would truly decide who was the greatest devourer. However, of course, since he has that main character edge, Rimuru takes down Geld in the end, and this is all great, but now the orcs are all alive without a leader. Clearly, the ogres are not gonna like this, right? These guys need to go, and fast. At least that was the plan until Rimuru very boldly, I say, declared that he had taken on the sins of the entire orc army when he consumed Geld. And then to really hammer that in, he named the orc lord's son Geld as well and invited all of the orcs to his own city. Now, that's what I call being a true diplomatic leader. And after all that is done, the overseers of the forest, the so-called dryads, officially call together an important meeting. They decide to establish a pact between the races of the forest and form the aptly named Jura Forest Alliance. I'm sure you see where this is going. Of course, the dryads and all the leaders agree that the man in charge should be the Great Slime, Rimuru Tempest, and that's basically how Rimuru then becomes the leader of not just a town, but a whole nation. Rimuru for President 2024, make Jura slimy again, I guess. All right, after this though, we go into a very, very big shift for Rimuru, because it's now time for a full-on politician arc. You see, after things settled down in the Jura forest for a couple of months or so, things started to somewhat spiral. That's because very quickly, this alliance has now become a full-on federation, and that has attracted the eyes of Gazel Dwargo, the great king of Dwargon from the dwarf city you remember from earlier. Now, he decides to help our dear pal Rimuru out and show him what it really means to be a leader. And so after a quick battle, these dudes become actually really good friends, and Rimuru forms a great and powerful ally, this time without actually eating him. Good job. Very soon after though, arguably the craziest and most insane thing to ever happen to Rimuru actually occurs. The dragonoid beast Demon Lord Milim shows up to Rimuru's nation. Now remember, these Demon Lords, they are the most powerful villains around the entire world. Yeah, well, the first one, and arguably one of the strongest, decides to just pop by and check out what's actually going on here with Rimuru. And now in true anime fashion, Rimuru just quickly becomes buddy-buddy with her and honestly kind of puts her in her place. And as a result, instead of a tragic battle, the legendary friendship of Milim and Rimuru is created instead. Something that's actually super important when the calamity level threat Kuribis appears. This creature is so durable, even Rimuru and his forces couldn't manage to take it down, but once Rimuru found out the threat wasn't coming from him and was actually mad at Milim, she stepped in and basically one-shotted it. And man, let me tell you, Rimuru was really glad he called that girl over. Like, what a lifesaver in that situation. But here's the deal. Sometimes you just have to take a break. Being the president of a great nation and defeating demon-level threats, can get a little bit tiring sometimes. I mean, at this point in the story, Rimuru has spent just about 2 years in this new world, and he's basically been going non-stop. Some rest and relaxation are in order. And so Rimuru agreed and decided to take a break from being a president and become a teacher. The most calming profession, I guess. I don't know. Turns out Shizu, the human gal from Japan that Rimuru ate, was actually a teacher in another great nation. So Rimuru decided to take it upon himself to help these poor kids out. All of them are actually also a bunch of otherworldlers who were brought to this world against their own will. And much like Shizu, none of them had a great life so far. Now, the big issue here is that these kids are destined to die, as is the case for most people summoned to this world. However, Rimuru actually realized that Shizu lived way longer than she probably ever should have. So he decided to ask his pal, the Dryad leader trainee, and learned that one reason she may have lived a lot longer was actually the great spirit living inside of her Ifrit. And so Rimuru decides to take the kids to a giant maze, which is the great dwelling of the spirits, a place where connecting to the spirits is way easier and helps saves their lives. By finding spirits to live inside their bodies. But if you thought that was wild, just wait, because while he was doing all of this, he also met yet another demon lord, the little ancient fairy Ramires. Now they of course also become quick pals, a friendship that's going to become really important very shortly, especially because she knows a lot about Leon Cromwell, the man that Rimuru has now some serious beef with. But before all of that kicks in, he finally takes his leave from teaching and begins to head back to his own city, Tempest. Oh yeah, did I forget to mention that during all this time, the nation just collectively decided to name their capital city after Rimuru, much to his personal distaste, that is. But yeah, anyways, back to Rimuru. He's now headed back to start some political conversations with the great beast kingdom, Jura. As it turns out, a nation ruled again by, you guessed it, another demon lord who was apparently assassinated by his best friend, Milim? That's weird because she's normally super bubbly and kind, so I wonder what all of that is about. Well, turns out that plot thread is also going to have to wait a little bit because Rimuru on the way there is ambushed by yet another human from his own world. Her name is Hinata and she was a student of Shizu's. Now she got word that a vile and evil slime killed her master and decided to take revenge. And so as a member of the Holy Church, she swears to rid this world of yet another cruel monster and decides to battle Rimuru. And it turns out that her unique skill has Rimuru completely outmatched, as it doesn't attack the body, it attacks the soul. Now Rimuru is broken, busted, and generally kind of impossible to defeat, but his soul, turns out, is his biggest weakness. So thanks to Hinata's weapons and attacks, Rimuru nearly is completely defeated. However, just in the last moment, he manages to pull off a phenomenal stunt with a body double that tricks Hinata into believing that he's dead. But unfortunately, she was just a distraction, it turns out, because when the Rimuru returns to Tempest, it is in shambles. There's magical barriers blocking the entry, and the city itself is burned and in chaos. Apparently, a powerful mage has infiltrated the city and alongside the Holy Church destroyed Tempest from the inside out. Not only destroying the city, but even killing some of his dearest comrades. And in this moment, when Rimuru gazes upon the dead bodies of Shion and the goblins, he just snaps. A whole new evil and powerful side of Rimuru emerges, and it is time for revenge. You see, it wasn't just the Holy Church that attacked, but the nation of Falmouth. Now this is a nation which is secretly led by the demon lord Clayman. It was his personal mage who against her own will was forced to help this plot against Rimuru. However, in this moment of true weakness and despair, he's given a shining chance to bring all of his friends back to life. This happens when a good friend and adventurer called Eren tells him of the story about Milim's origins. You see, apparently when someone ascends to the power of a demon lord, they can possibly bring back some of the people close to them. Now, Milim actually did this with her pet dragon, and Rimuru sets out to do this with his loyal citizens. And thus, the arc of Rimuru's rise to demon lord is finally upon us. He sets out to completely destroy the army of Falmouth, and he needs 10,000 souls to rise to the rank of demon lord, and he's going to get them all at once. He does this by unleashing the terrifying power of an amazing spell called Megiddo. This piercing laser beam instantly murders 5,000 soldiers, and then Rimuru blocks the ability to steal the souls of anyone who loses the will to fight. As a result, immediately gaining the other 5,000 souls in the process. And after this very cold attack, he now has everything he needs to transform in the Great Harvest Festival, the ritual you need to become a demon lord. And he begins. Now, it is during this time that we see not only Rimuru rise up in power, but also we see him take on a completely new form. Covered in all white with bright red eyes, this form of Rimuru is on autopilot with his new ultimate skill, Raphael. This was formerly the unique skill Great Sage, but it evolved a bunch thanks to Rimuru's new monstrous power-up. Anyways, Raphael now uses the power of the Harvest Festival to bring back Rimuru's army, and also explains to Rimuru that all of his powers have been combined into 4 ultimate skills: Raphael, Ciel, Beelzebub, and of course, Veldra. Now, you see, in this world, most people are lucky to even get a glimpse at an ultimate skill some point in their life, but Rimuru, this guy has 4. That makes him so unbelievably powerful that he's able to finally break the Infinity Prison and unleash his best buddy Veldra. But not only that, he does so by creating a body double and putting Veldra's power inside of it. This guy is so strong that he can create a vessel on par with the Storm Dragon, who gave him all of this crazy power to begin with. So, good on you for getting so strong so fast, Rimuru. But that's still not it yet. He still has to defeat Clayman for everything that he has done. The good thing is, as it happens, all of the demon lords are going to have a meeting soon, and it's at this event called Walpurgis that Rimuru will get his revenge. After some very careful planning and tactical choices with his comrades, Rimuru crashes Walpurgis thanks to his demon lord pal Ramiris. I told you, she was gonna be very important here. And it's at this banquet that he finally meets all of the remaining demon lords, some of which are their council leader Guy Crimson, his new enemy Clayman, and a surprise face, the man who started Rimuru's revenge tour, Leon Cromwell. However, Cromwell is gonna have to wait a little bit because Rimuru first needs to make Clayman here look like a real fool. Here's the deal. Clayman basically attempted to mastermind the whole war with Tempest, mind control Milim, and force some of the other demon lords to fight, and killed 𝗥𝗜𝗠𝗨, the king of Eurasania, in the process as well. He basically did all of this and then tried to pin it on Rimuru. However, our good guy Slime here is far from being stupid, and he brought the receipts as well. He showed up to this meeting ready to break down Clayman with facts and logic, like, you know, a true demon lord. Clayman on his heels then decides to, of course, fight Rimuru. A decision that could not have been worse. Why is that? Oh, well, because Clayman isn't even strong enough to take down Rimuru's secretary, Shion. She throws hands here and completely bodies him, and then to prove a point, Rimuru just steps in to finish the job. Clayman is completely dismantled, and Rimuru accidentally reveals that Milim wasn't even mind controlled to begin with, 𝗥𝗜𝗠𝗨 wasn't dead, and that Clayman was actually having his strings pulled by some greater threat in the background himself. I say accidentally because he actually had no idea any of this was actually going on and just happened to uncover it in the moment, but hey, happy accidents are the best kind of accidents, am I right? And after all of that simmered down, Rimuru finally steps up to the table and declares himself a proper demon lord, and with a couple of them defeated and dropping their titles, Rimuru names all of them the Octagram. And with his new demon lord title, our main man, the demon slime, heads now back to his kingdom Tempest to check on all of the political moves he had his council make. And it's here when he learns that all of his hard efforts to convince other nations to recognize Tempest as an own nation have been proving useful. He has managed to form an alliance with the rival nations of Falmouth, a nation that he now controls from the shadows thanks to his personal demon Diablo, and growing the population of Tempest by having Benimaru and Geld work with their prisoners and other monsters in the forest of Jura. And yet everything isn't perfectly well in Tempest because it's caused a lot of attention to focus on Rimuru, especially from the Holy Church and his old rival Hinata. She of course makes her way over to Tempest alongside her elite guard and a variety of sages and paladins as well. And it's only then that these two rivals will face off once again in a clash of the ages. However, unlike last time, this battle was actually planned. Rimuru hoped to use it as a means to actually talk to Hinata, and she had wanted to apologize after realizing that Rimuru was also an otherworldler like her and Shizu. But unfortunately, the Holy Church had some other plans for them and sabotaged their entire battle, leading to a victory for Rimuru at the cost of a very damaged Hinata. This actually confirmed his own suspicions that someone else had been pulling the strings behind Clayman, the church, and a bunch of other unexplained events going on in the world. Which of course means that it's now time for Rimuru to also add Ace Detective to his list of responsibilities as well. Now, if you're familiar at all with the light novels, you will know that there is of course still a lot more really crazy stuff about to happen. Rimuru keeps on defeating more and more impossibly strong opponents, and if you want a video on the light novels as well, please let me know in the comments. But how exactly is a slime even able to defeat all these powerful beings to begin with? Orc disasters, demon lords. What are Rimuru's powers truly capable of? Well, don't you worry, because you can just check out this very detailed breakdown of all of Rimuru Tempest's abilities and powers, and let me know which one is your favorite. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. It really helps out a channel like this, and I hopefully will see you in the next one.